But the quote is, "There's no such thing as right or wrong, just popular opinion." And that's how laws are made. That's how societal norms are created. The reason why I ask you about cannibalism because there are and have been civilizations where cannibalism was a normality and a part of their rituals and everything else. But for a lot of us, that's a wrong thing. But the popular opinion within that culture was that. So the issue that we have is not necessarily having the acceptance of other people's mentalities. But the
I look at
problem
it
I
this way,
have,
just like my social work teacher said. She said whenever she went to college, her roommate was from the boondocks of whatever. But this woman is also my professor is in her mid to late 40s, and her roommate never seen a black person before, only on TV.
I dealt
They
with that.
they didn't have them in their town. They didn't go to school with them. She said the only time that she's ever seen a black person was on TV. They've never seen them in person. So this was now her roommate in college. And her roommate called her a nigger.
Like
Now,
out of affection or like out of anger?
no, just like because that's what was taught to, like, that was the name of black folks.
Did she
Nigger.
survive?
She said this, and I admire her for this. She said it was a teachable moment because I cannot knock this
See?
woman because she has never encountered a black person before. So I cannot hold her to the same standard I would hold somebody to that is in our.
Who's educated and been in the mix and they know what's up.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Right. And I mean, it's that's to me it's a true statement. I've dealt with that myself. When I went to college, there were definitely people who went to my university who their education on black folks was BET and rap videos. And they were genuinely shocked to see that at that time we weren't all sporting cornrows with big ass white tees, Air Force Ones, and we weren't, pimping and hoeing and
All that good
other
stuff.
shit. That there were some of us who weren't good at basketball and football. Oh my god, or that we like anything other than hip hop and R&B.
Like what?
They're like, oh man, you know Nickelback? Yes, I'm aware of who Nickelback is. I know some words and some songs and some things. They were like completely shocked out of their mind to know that I knew other shit. And then of course there's the ones that want to touch your afro. Man, and then the question of how do you do that to your hair?
I just can't with those questions. I'm not.
But they're uneducated, teachable moments, man. They were in their echo chamber, living in, I don't know, Mayberry or wherever they came from, and they just never had, never saw a Negro before.
Let me tell you something. When the one lady reached in to my baby's car seat and tried to touch her hair.
I understand you being upset, but do you know that amongst the white culture, baby touching's a thing?
Don't touch my baby.
I got you. For us. Baby. I know.
Your hands have been.
I know.
You washed them coming out the bathroom.
But think about this, a teachable moment, right?
Don't touch my baby. It's not your baby.
Teachable moment.
My 3-month-old baby. Don't touch my baby. And I had to tell this white lady in the middle of Walmart.
Got you.
What it is.
All right. So.
Teachable moment.
I got you. But all right, here's an equivalent. From what I remember reading about other cultures in Egypt, it's offensive to show your soles of your feet to another person. So, like, say you're sitting on the ground against a wall and you put your feet straight out and you got your soles showing to another person, that'd be offensive to them.
That is
right.
Offensive.
Here, we don't give a shit. You sitting on the ground, whatever, your soles of feet showing. But, like, you go somewhere and you do something that you're not used to and you about to get your ass whooped, like, what happened? If they're used to touching babies, I mean, I'm not saying what she did was right. I definitely understand what you're saying about it. I'm just trying to say that in those, as your professor said, the teachable moments, sometimes it's smart to keep in contact. But if you know that,
This lady was like, she was roughly about 75 years old, but you know better.
does she 75 old and what, white?
Yes.
Right. She may not know better.
She may not know better.
But now she do.
Even older black ladies be touching babies. You know,
they may not know better for real.
I mean, she learned that day, but
she did. But you know,
I ain't saying what she's doing is right, but they have a different kind of cultural.
I've never ran into that issue with another black woman. If an older black woman, or if a black woman just in general wanted to see my baby or touch my baby, she like, oh, can I touch her? And at that, no, thank you. Like, you know what I mean?
Got you.
And then they're kind of like,
right.
oh, okay, like, oh, okay, yeah, but you asked and I told you no. So that's so funny.
For older white people, and it was a thing.
That's where that is. It gets me so angry because at that point, it's almost like, you know, white people want to be forgiven but it's like I get it that you may not know better, but do you not hold any type of common sense? Like,
it's not common if they don't know.
Like, I just look at it as I would never touch anybody else's baby. Not that I don't feel that I'm superior or not. Like, I just wouldn't do it. Like,
I got you.
Like, I wouldn't do it, but I always see people get different.
People do it. They want to hold the baby. They want to sniff the baby.
Around. Like, they be like, oh, they want to love it and hug it and hold it. And they
sniff it. I don't get the sniffing.
Boundaries and stuff. Yeah, like I feel like I've seen how people get when babies are around.
You can't even say common sense though, because one, we all know that everyone has that, and two, what's common sense to one person is not common sense to another person. In fact, your common sense is very much directly related to your environment, because there are common sense things that people that live out in Montana and Colorado that we don't have here, but for them that's common sense type of stuff.
Were we not told in school to keep our hands to ourselves? Because I'm pretty sure that we all learned that.
We did. We're talking about a 75-year-old woman.
No. I went to an all-white school. They were taught the same thing I was taught.
Yeah, not the 75-year-old woman wasn't. 75.
75, they touching babies.
Nah.
75, they be getting everybody polio.
They kissing everybody on the cheek.
Yo, so think about this, right? Shaking hands and kissing babies was like a thing for politicians in like the 40s and 50s.
Yeah. Remember that talk show host that kept kissing kids?
Yeah, they were telling her, cut that shit out.
Yeah, remember that?
No, for real. It really is directly related. Your common sense is directly related to your environment.
Yeah.
For real, because there are people that are geniuses in one thing and idiots in another environment.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like, yo, I don't know what the fuck to do on a farm. But those farmers' common sense things, I may not know what farmer common sense is. I don't farm.
Yeah.
That's not my environment. It's not what I grew up with. I don't know what to do with a damn chicken other than chop it up and eat it. And I don't even want to do that myself. I don't know.
So to this topic, should we still have a two-party system?
So no.
Mm-mm.
It's going to be hard to break out of it. But should we have that? No, we shouldn't.
Why?
All right, so it's definitely extremely limiting.
Let me tell you something. We really don't have a two-party system. We really don't. Like, it's not, we don't have, like, we do have a third party.
We got more than 3 parties. We have a whole bunch of parties, but
there's like the Libertarians. There's
Green Party, Libertarians, Independents,
right?
All that kind of shit. But you know what though? How much do they count? The reason we call it 2 parties, even though technically, just so we can say stuff like that, like, well, we have other options. We really don't, because at the end of the day, the money and the supports and the influence goes to Democratic and Republicans.
But that's because they get the endorsements for it.
Right. And that's the issue. They get the money goes there.
Right. But we could get it other places if we wanted to in those other parties. I mean, we have the option. I'm not saying, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I mean, we could if we wanted to endorse somebody.
We being who? Who is we? Because
whoever that, because you don't see these other parties until you get the ballot.
Well, this year was a little bit different because we had a bunch like the Andrew Yangs and stuff like that, where it was not necessarily. Well, he was Democratic, but there were other people in the mix where they're not mainstream. They have different views. They just don't get the corporate political backing that the 2 major parties do.
You're right, but
they don't.
And I agree with you. They don't. But what I'm saying is that the opportunity is still there.
Right. It's to me a similar. I guess it relates more to Sherelle, but even Alicia can relate. When we were kids, it's a little different now, and hopefully politics evolves in the same way. There wasn't independent labels. There wasn't indie labels. You had to be a part of Warner Brothers or Universal or Sony to even to get anywhere in music. Like, that was the only options. Like, there was no indie labels. So either you were a part of those or they're subsidiaries, or you just didn't go nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's changed. But that's what it was. It was those big names. And either you was a part of that or you weren't shit. And politics are still there, where you're either going to be with Time Warner or you're going to be with Universal or Sony, or you're not going anywhere.
But it's crazy, and it's crazy how we as a society now kind of do it like Democrat or Republican, but history shows that the Democrats and Republicans have always worked together, and that even when Lincoln was in office, his vice president was a Republican. He was Democratic.
Wait, hold on. No. Wait.
Or his opposite.
No. The opposite around, because Abraham Lincoln was
Republican. His vice president was Democratic.
Here we go. You're right. It's a little different now. There's a lot more rivalry, Sharks and the Jets, Bloods and the Crips right now.
Right. That's how it's been as long as I can remember it.
Yeah.
I remember the presidential, elections and stuff. Like, the first time I can remember like paying any type of attention to politics was Bush.
The first one or the second one?
Bush and Al Gore. That's the first time I can remember.
Oh, okay, the second one.
Like, really paying attention to what, like, because, you got that kid mentality. Like, at that point, nothing really even mattered. But when I started paying attention, it was Bush and Al Gore.
If I'm being honest, the first time I was aware of any of this, I was in 2nd grade, and our teacher was an election year. This was when it was George Bush Sr. and Bill Clinton. Our social studies teacher made a thing out of it. So 2nd grade, I was aware that there was a 2-party system. We even had a little kiddie ballot, and this is when Ross Perot was a thing. Back then he was like the last big 3rd-party candidate that I can remember. So that was the first time I was aware of it, and then of course Bill Clinton's scandal followed, and I knew about politics then. Did I really care so much? No. I wish that the local news would get canceled. I still do.
So speaking of both of these, are Republicans or Democrats actually supporting the needs of most Americans?
No. Neither
No. No. It's kind of all right. So I recently saw a post they were talking about with the wealth brackets and the ages of these candidates, where they're in their 70s, they're making plenty of money. They really, no matter what, don't truly currently relate. Now some of them grew up poor, but right now, in terms of having similar concerns, the daily concerns of most Americans, no, they don't. And that's no matter whether it's Republican or Democrat. They're not living a daily life like that.
I think that there should be qualifications, like for how Donald Trump got into office the first time. I don't know, because you've never held a position in politics prior to the presidency.
That's why he won. People were tired of career politicians.
But my whole thing is that at least you know what's going on. Like, you didn't even know Puerto Rico was.
He didn't even know that Kansas City wasn't in Kansas.
Like, come on, man. Like come on.
I know nothing. All right.
Come on.
That's why our foreign relations are so fucked up right now. So politicians know how to do foreign relations a lot better.
Right. Whenever you hold office, you know how to, not only that, but you know how to conduct yourself. You know how to properly speak. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but they're looking for the rebel. People love rebels. People love the person going against the system, which is why he won. He was the one that was claiming.
But that's why I believe that we need to get rid of the Electoral College. Like, I wholeheartedly, full-fledged.
Yeah, the Electoral College.
When Kamala said, she was like, her and Biden, if we would have got rid of that, a lot of these presidents that made the presidency would have never made it, because they wouldn't have won. They lost the popular vote.
It used to have its purpose, but now with technology and procedures, there's no reason why we can't do popular votes. There's no reason.
It's not
zero.
It's not even that, Brandon. It's more or less like, the whole reason on why the Electoral College came about. Now that the population has gone up. Well, yeah, but now that the populations have gone up, and it's almost that everybody has now your proper representation within government, what do we need the Electoral College for? Like, what?
They're not even. All right, so we know what it's for. They do it to control.
Right.
To control what happens with the election. So, as much as we like to believe that this is a full democracy where, the most popular vote is going to win, the Electoral College still makes sure they claim to make sure that the population won't just pick, some random person to be the president who they feel isn't qualified to do so.
Hello.
I got you, but that's what they claim. We need to make sure, like, almost like this checks and balances, so that we don't end up voting Flavor Flav for president.
Well, I mean, we might as well have, because we ain't doing no better with him.
I think I would have enjoyed that way more, but
yeah, boy, what's up?
What? He going to me. He got the Viking helmet on, going to me, his big ass clock. That'd have been more fun. But that's what they claim the purpose is, but it really is necessary. But they want to do it to stay in control. That's the way of staying in control.
Right.
They don't want us down here actually picking somebody. Oh no!
So, what other country would you live in where you feel the politics or social climate is better?
I can't speak on that because I've never lived in any other country.
All
So
right.
I don't know what that possibly would look like. But however, as a woman,
Here we
I would
go.
look at Canada.
Now, question with that one. All right. All right. I get Canada. I know why Canada's on my list of countries I would like to live in. But how do you feel about Justin Trudeau and his blackface situation as a black woman? What do you
I
feel
don't
about that?
agree with no blackface, but I'm not looking at it as that. I'm looking at what they offer me as what most people, the reason on why they pick the candidate that they pick is what this person can do for me. I pick Canada for what they can do for me.
There we go.
So, as a woman, either there or Greenland,
Greenland?
Iceland.
Iceland has no ice. Greenland is all ice. Which one are you talking about?
Iceland.
Okay.
I think it's Iceland. I can't remember.
All right, one of them.
One of them. Because as a woman, they value you as a person who, populates the earth. They take you they take you more serious, your health care, your body, as far as when it comes to bearing children. They give you the proper time off of work.
Yep.
Not
Like
that,
Norway and I think Norway and Sweden do the
Norway
same
is
thing.
the other one. Norway,
Yeah.
I would go to Norway just because they pay. Listen, Norway pays teachers what our doctors get paid here because they feel that education and the way that what you put into our children will flourish out and make your society better. So their doctors, yes, they save lives, but if you don't properly put the right people feel the right education into your up and coming generation, that's they're all for education. So I'm like, really?
Yep, Norway and like Sweden in terms of like maternity and paternity leave and education.
Same with Canada. Canada's the same
all
thing.
That.
Canada gives you 6 months to a year off, paid, whenever you have a baby. Paid.
And they don't even leave it up to the company. Like in America,
they don't leave it up to the company.
Yeah, it's law.
Yes. It's mandated. It's around. You can do
it. Now, there's probably some people over there taking full advantage of this, getting pregnant every year.
Listen, you know what? But you have to understand at that point in time, like we as women, we populate the earth. And to give me 6 weeks off, 6 weeks with my newborn child, 6 weeks to send them off into the world. That's it. That's all you give.
It allows your body to heal.
And then as a woman, how and why, if you're in childbearing years, you would vote for Donald Trump. He is trying to change it where it is no longer, they're going to no longer do it as maternity leave, but now it is short-term disability. So with short-term disability, you only get paid 60% of your pay, where maternity leave, you still got paid, even though you had to, depending on the company, you still had to pay your insurance. But short-term disability, like,
it shouldn't even be based off of.
It's company based.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be company based at all.
And that's all it's now short-term disability. So with maternity leave, they couldn't give up your job if they, if you got pregnant or whatnot. But short-term disability, they can deny.
What's interesting in certain situations, so if you're part of the military reserves, they can't fire you for that. But you can get fired if you're pregnant and have a kid.
Crazy, huh? Crazy. But meanwhile, We as women, we're the ones that, populate this wonderful earth. All life comes through us. Sorry, men. Y'all just have the seed, but it has to be planted.
No objections here. Y'all got that. And for a bonus, y'all can even live longer. Here you go. Boom. You're welcome. Go for it.
We live longer because we
endure more.
Well, not only
whatever.
that, but because we bear children, we end up being at the doctors more. We end up taking more vitamins. We end up.
I will agree with that, though.
Yes. Having to take care of our bodies more.
Guys don't like to go.
Yeah, bearing a child.
So, thoughts on the most recent and the upcoming debate. I know we talked about.
Oh man!
Y'all talked about the debate.
Yo, that last debate was boring as hell until that Flash showed up.